G'day. Thanks for joining me today on my presentation. Today I'm going to show you how you can work from anywhere in the world to deliver your land development projects from end to end using 12D software. I'm going to run through a bit of a case study of a 120 lot subdivision that we've recently completed in Wanaka, New Zealand. There's three main parts to my presentation today. So the first will be how we do the project creation in 12D Synergy. Then I'll get bogged down for an extended period of time in the 12D model side of things and how we use the automation and drafting within 12D model. And then we'll close it out with project delivery back in 12D Synergy. Little introduction. My name's Wandel. I'm originally from WA. Spent a bit of time up in the Pilbara and then a couple of years over in Canada, bashing through the bush in the Great Bear Rainforest in British Columbia before finding myself here in Wanaka, New Zealand, doing subdivision design and land development projects. Throughout my career, I've been working in 12D model, just learning step by step along the way all the different tools that it has. I work for Southern Land. We're land development and subdivision consultants here in Wanaka. We've got offices in Auckland, Wanaka and Queenstown. Pretty much we're a bunch of skiers, snowboarders, climbers and mountain enthusiasts who like to do a little bit of engineering and surveying. We also have a crew that are dedicated to cycle trail development and a GIS team. The project I'm going to run through with you today is called Clearview Wanaka. It's by Universal Developments. We were the consultants on the job and Mungatua Contracting was the contractor. Now, let's give a little bit of a project overview. It's 119 residential lots, 40-odd thousand cubes of earthworks. It's got a little bit of everything in this job. Your drainage, your sewer, stormwater, all your service reticulation, earthworks, some site management controls that were a bit tricky. What isn't ordinary about this job is the view. If you can look at that picture there, it's a cracking view over Lake Wanaka and the Treble Cone ski field in the background and Black Peak. And then off to the south, you've got views over down the Credrona Valley. So obviously we were trying to maximize on those views in the scheme plan layout. Our roles as the consultant, we were involved in every stage of the project. Really it was up to us to deliver the project from end to end for our client. Yeah, everything you can see there, that was part of what we had to do using 12D software to do it. We were able to pretty much use 12D software for the complete project, with the exception of Word and Excel. So let's kick it off. Let's talk about 12D Synergy. Now, I had a bit of trouble trying to come up with some slides for how to make a file management system interesting, but I'll just run through the things that I like about working in Synergy and things that I use to streamline our process. As a company, we've been developing our Synergy workflows over the last few years. We're not getting it right straight out of the box, but you don't have to do it all in one hit. You can just piece it together and chip away at it over time and come up with a workable solution that works for your your company or your workflows. All right, so where does a project start? It always starts in the office with the office admin. Sarah, our office manager, kicks off the project in Workflow Max using the 12D Synergy connectors. All of the data that she inputs into Workflow Max gets pushed through into 12D Synergy as attributes. Now I use those attributes in 12D Synergy all the way down to plotting and drafting. A lot of this information goes on my plan faces, and also in our reporting and our completion certificates, automated documents and templates coming out of 12D Synergy. 12D Synergy is great for your email management, document management, work sharing. The graph I see here, I stumbled across it as I was looking around. For this project, we got up to 80,000 file changes throughout the life of the project. Now this is probably peanuts compared to some of the projects, infrastructure projects that you'll be viewing in this conference, but just to show how much data is actually being created in these land developments. It's pretty incredible. The great thing about Synergy is you don't have to worry about losing an email. You don't have to worry about overwriting another file. You can roll back to previous data if you've made a complete error, and nothing's really ever deleted. It just goes out of view. You can always pull it back if you need to. I made a note about the Synergy Sync tool. It's a pretty cool tool that I use to manage all of our 12D customizations throughout our offices from Auckland to Queenstown. Every 12D user, I'm able to push out all of our nodes files, our user library files, feature code libraries, updates, all those sort of things. I can push them to their C drive straight from anywhere in the world, really. On the intro, it was how you can work from anywhere in the world. Probably the coolest thing about 12D Synergy is that you can do exactly that. You can work remotely. So through this project, for the earthworks and civils design, the roading design, I did most of it from an apartment in Bratislava. I had 2 weddings in Europe, 8 weeks apart. So I packed up my computer, headed off over to them, had a little bit of holiday time in between, as you can see, but also got to manage to get some work done in between. This has been critical. It just gives you the freedom to work from home or work from office or work anywhere in the world, really. And so you're not stuck to being in the office every day, 7 days a week. Since the big lockdown we had here back in 2020, I quite often work from home when I need to do some focus work, some report writing. I've got an office set up there now regularly, just to get through those workloads. So it's really great for flexibility. A little bit of crossover between 12D model and 12D Synergy. 12D Synergy is super handy for sharing out 12D model projects. So you don't have to go into the 12D model and share those out. You can do that directly from within 12D Synergy. Okay, so now let's jump into the second part of this presentation and talk about 12D model. How we go from turning it from this picture on your left to this picture on the right. So some of the project goals that I had as the civil designer for this project was that I wanted the design to be as dynamic as possible. I wanted us to be able to adapt to change, because we all know that changes happen throughout a project, or even at the start, even through the concept, you're throwing out ideas. You need to be able to change those, be adaptable to those changes, and not let the time taken in drafting or doing the actual work impact the the changes so that you're not getting the best possible design. The way to do this is to automate the systems as much as possible, and I actually hate drafting. So one of my project goals was to limit the amount of drafting that I'm actually physically doing. And when I'm talking about drafting, I'm talking about moving lines to here, moving text around and labeling things and getting it all looking pretty on a plan. I was able to achieve most of these goals using 12D model. So in terms of the start of the project, it all comes with topo survey data. We're bringing in survey data from loads of places, coming in conventionally from total station and GPS. We got UAV data in our office, so we're importing UAV imagery, UAV point clouds. We're getting LiDAR data from the local authority, so we're using 12D to bring that LiDAR data, create surfaces from that, and super tins from that. So 12D can handle all of this data really quite easily, and the 3D viewers in it are right up to scratch with other types of software. The next stage is starting to work on your scheme plan, roading, and earthworks design. They all sort of go hand in hand. You got to work on one while you play around with the other, and it's a bit of a iterative process. You play with this and work with this. But what I really wanted to concentrate here with working on the scheme plan was to automate the drafting as much as possible. Tools that I use in the scheme plan, I use estate lots and lot labelings from within those estate lots. CAD tables, I've been finding them super handy. Being able to update something in a CSV file and then recalc that CSV file into a table on your plan face. You can see the tables that are coming out of here are actually read from a CSV file throughout the project. All this stuff can be run inside chains, so there's the automation and the automated drafting coming into the back end there. Now I'm going to go through a few more slides and I'll show you a bit of a presentation in this. Then you got the earthworks and roading design. As I said before, a lot of the time using 12D Synergy, I was able to do a lot of this from an apartment in Bratislava. But we use tools like alignment computators, so your alignments are talking to each other. Adjust one and the elevations will all change around. Snippets, I have about 3 custom snippets that I've built. They are pretty much what comes out of the box with a few edits for our local authority. Just some customization that helps us build a road really quickly. The other snippet I have is for building a service corridor. So if you look at this cross section down here, everything in that cross section apart from the roading and the sewer and the stormwater, that's all coming out of snippets and the MTF and the pavement manager. The pavement manager, really cool piece of kit, creates all your tri-meshes, gets all your visualization working automatically, and then you're able to run quantities against those tri-meshes for scheduling. All of roading and earthworks design, again, I can run it all in chains. It's all automated, and I can apply attributes within snippets to automate the drafting of any changes I make. Change your curb type, automatic label map file, labels that curb type. So once you've got all these systems up and running and you make a change, you don't really have to do much else except run your labeling chains. Visualization. Visualization, it looks pretty cool. Quite often I'll ask myself, why bother? Is it really needed? Are you getting any value for money and the time spent in getting it all looking pretty? the bonus of this here, what you can see on screen, is I'm just designing. I'm not doing anything special to create these tri-meshes. These are all coming out of the pavement manager. The drainage modeling is all done from the drainage network editor. It's already there. It's already a part of your design. So I don't have to go to any extra effort to get my visualization up and running. If you want to take it that next level, you can take it next level. It's not that hard. But I didn't see the need in this project to really take it to the nth degree. One of the biggest things was that view we talked about earlier, trying to show to a prospective purchaser what aspects they're going to get from their lot was actually nearly easily done coming out of Google Earth. So we just exported it KMLs, and they're able to pan around in Google Earth and see the view of the mountain range in the background. So there's the tools in there to do it, but most of it's all automated. You don't have to spend a whole lot of time to get something that looks pretty impressive. The other cool thing about visualization is you can use clash detection and augmented reality. We tested the Trimble Site Vision on this project with the roading tri-meshes, and the drainage networks work perfectly. Being able to see the clashes under the ground while you're at subgrade before you even put the pipes in the ground. The next stage of the project is all about your drainage. 12D models drainage tools are super powerful. We can do the rational method for all our pipe sizing. Then on this project in particular, we had a centralized stormwater attenuation system, and so we had to run that through and run a dynamic analysis against this. It was great to have all these features in the one software that I could do all my drafting, do all of my updates, update a road, update a surface, and then rerun my dynamic calculations, see the invert levels change, tweak my orifice and weir elevations, check what heights I need an outflow for an overflow. All these things was just being able to play and tweak with the model and not having to take it to another software. And it really sped up that design process in this stage of detailed design. I used 2D road flow for do the overland flood analysis. Pretty cool piece of kit. And then again, you got all your automated drafting at the click of a button. So how do we bring all this together onto a plan face, and what council's going to see, what the contractor's going to see? It's all got to do with your plotting. So without having to take it out to CAD, we're plotting from the multi-page plot sheets. Using view favorites. If you don't already use favorites, whether you're plotting or not plotting from 12D, I recommend checking them out. They're super handy. You've got lots of cool drafting tools coming up. The dynamic tools like dynamic dimensioning, dynamic leaders, string attribute labels are great tools to automate all the drafting, especially those in snippets. Your drawing register. Drawing register is imperative in keeping track of where all the revisions are at in your project. I have one drawing register for every 12D model project, and from this I can drive everything that's coming onto the plan face. In this particular project, we had 57 sheets in our final issue for construction set. So the multi-page plot sheet having the ability to plot by chapter or plot by individual page instead of having to go through the whole sheet and spit them all out can take a bit of time. So if you've got one little error, especially in those final little checkings where you've gone, oh, I just need to fix that one thing on that sheet, you can just plot that sheet out and then combine your PDFs together using combine PDF files. Before I go ahead there, I'll probably do a little bit of a demo now of a bit of a workflow to show you all these tools and how I use to piece all this together, just to give you a bit of understanding of the speed that it takes to change these things around and get it onto a plan. So I'm going to open my scheme plan project here. What I'll do in this demo is I'll take our stormwater reserve. Let's say we're able to use dynamic analysis to reduce the size of that stormwater. This is actually something that did happen in this project. Once we got the dynamic analysis up and running and finalized our storage volume, we were able to fit a few more lots in. So later down the track, we could add a few more lots and subdivide a few extras off. But let's just say, for example, 400, we're able to get another 400 square meter lot on the edge there next to lot 125. So using estate lots, I will edit the lots by parallel edge. Not that one, I want that lot. And we're going to put a, let's say 350 square meter lot on the edge there. Sorry, I used the wrong tool. Go Control Z, design, estate lots. We're going to edit lots, subdivide area, parallel edge. Cool, so there's our lot. It's 350 square meters. We need to number those lots. So I'll create lot numbers in this model. Next lot number will be 401. I just want to keep everything the same color. And I'll pick that lot, yes, 401 and 402. So now we've finished that, I need to update my labeling and all my drafting tools. So I have labeling and drafting on going out into different places. I have scheme plan, I have sales plans, and I've also got my engineering and drafting. So all of these plans are a little bit different in scale, rotations, etc. So I'm running a few through here, but I have a chain built up to do that. So I'll just hit my lot labeling chain. A couple of things that aren't automated, just to make sure it all runs smoothly. I'll click them. It's got to do 693 duplicate label checks. So it's just going to run through and double check that it hasn't labeled anything twice. So while that does it, it's really easy now that I've updated this plan. This is for my scheme plan. It's going to run through another one here shortly, and that will be my my engineering plans labeling, which is without the area, just the lot number itself. So we'll finish that. It opens up another one for me, and I just need to run the update again. So this is the one for my engineering plans. So there you can see that I've now got two lots, lot 401 and 402, simple as that. Drafting's all done. I can run into my plotting project and start pushing out the plans for my scheme plan if I want. I'm going to jump into the engineering project and put in a vehicle crossing for that lot and run my routing chains so I can get my engineering drawings out. Let's just jump into that now. So here's your lot 400. Sorry, before I go and do that, I'm just going to save that project. So here's my lot 400. Hasn't got the updates, so I need to pull them in from the sharing. So using the sharing, I'll synchronize my models, and that's sharing in from my scheme plan project. Already our labeling's starting to pop up because that's being created in a different model, but our lots boundaries come from within this project. I've got a little chain that does a little bit of drafting stuff here for just different shading. So before I do that, I'm going to put a vehicle crossing into lot 402 here, probably between these two trees. All my vehicle crossings are created by snippets, so I'm going to copy my snippet modifier from there, and I'm just whack it. Yeah. Cool. Now I run my roading chain, so it'll run through all of my drafting that I need to do, and it'll run through all of the snippets and update my labeling, get my plots ready for going out in my engineering drawings. So you can see there, it's done. There's my vehicle crossing in. I'm ready to do my plan face. I'll open up my drawing register, as I talked about before. I'm going to use lot 301 as a demo, so I'll just show you here. I'll just type in demo and hit save, and back into my engineering project, which is where I'm driving all my plotting from. I'll open up my multi-page plot sheet. Sheet 301 is the drawing I'm going to do, and I'll just hit plot. Just give that a minute to do its thing. All right, so there is our updated plot with our new lot numbers and our vehicle crossing. So that's just a simple way to show you that, hey, I need to add an extra lot in here, or I need to do some drafting. It all can be quite automated. It can be all quite quick, and you can add all these things in. There is a bit of time of setting it all up this way, but if you've got the right workflows and setting it up in a way that is chronological, it's really not that hard to do. Okay, so that's it for the demo. Let's start moving on with the project. Now we're into the construction prep. Again, I'm trying to automate everything as much as possible using our quantity calculations within 12D model, scheduling. 12D model is able to produce all of our machine control files and survey set out data. One thing I find really handy is even if you don't run your chains to do all your calculations, just keeping a record of them in a chain, and so that you can come back and go, this is how I calculated that volume, and it's there when someone goes, what surface did you use, what boundary string did you use, and you've got a track record. Throughout the construction of the process, we do a lot of QA. We have to QA our surveyors, we have to QA the construction, we have to keep track of the earthworks volumes for end of month quantities. So we're using 12D model to do this. This is happening every month. So another thing that I tried to build up into an automation level. On this plan here, you'll see that there's a whole bunch of NDM compaction test that is getting updated, sent to me as a Excel spreadsheet. I convert that into a CSV file, and that runs into plot straight from a CSV file in Synergy, and it's coming in straight on my plan face. Now, if I go in and inquire on those points, I'm able to read in all of the attributes that come from the testing lab and so any one of those points has all of the attributes that were found for that test in particular. The cut fill volume reports in there, that all comes out automated from my surveyors. The surveyors will update their surfaces, and I can run my automation and update this plan for the end of the month quantities. As-built data. So as-built data, we've got to get it into a format that our GIS can digest. So our local authority no longer takes AutoCAD files, it only takes GIS data, and just recently is now accepting 12D model XMLs, 12D XMLs. So this is before that time when I had to produce the as-built data for this project. So we were able to write attribute manipulator files to convert our data into the format that they required with all the attributes that our council require. We did this by exporting into a 12D XML and then running it through the FME editor. Charlie Latchford's done a fair bit of work now in getting a system up through to the New Zealand Code of Practice as-built standards. So we're implementing that across our offices now. But in the end, we're able to do a lot of the attribute mapping from our already QA'd data that we've checked throughout the project and not have to recreate this data in any way. We've gone, hey, here's our survey data. Yes, we've checked the construction through the process, and then run it through our attribute manipulators and go, yep, here it is ready for as-built in GIS. We do all of the land transfer surveys from 12D model. Our data prep is all getting produced in the Traverse spreadsheets, and that's all getting uploaded into Land Information New Zealand via XML. Super handy when you've got the cadastral surveyor doing all the pre-calcs and you're just checking that everything's going to work. You can share those models in across your design project and see where exactly all these pegs are going to land and work out any clashes during the construction. So that's it in the 12D model project. Moving on to synergy. How do you deliver this amount of data to the right people? How do you keep track of it? That all happens back in 12D synergy. The project delivery, we use issue files. It's great for large document transfers. It automatically keeps track of your document control, giving document transmittals such as the one on screen. Issuing file sets, it's something that I've found just helps the process when you've got multiple projects running, and you're trying to remember what data's gone out. You can just go to your issue sets and go, oh no, I issued that revision on this date. There is an update, here you go. Or you've got the latest current data. You can just be sure of it when you come back and check. And it just gives you the confidence when you're reviewing all this data and reviewing what's going out in the field, keeping tabs on everything. It's really, really key. 12D synergy templates. So those attributes I talked about earlier, the ones that are getting fed in Workflow Max, single point of entry, they're now coming through in our templates. So this reduces our admin time drastically in terms of our inspection reports, completion certificates, all sorts of stuff comes out of those templates. Really, if you're doing something repetitively, some sort of form, all of the data can come out of the attributes from in 12D synergy. So to wrap things up, our project goals that we started with, as a civil designer for this project, I was just super happy with the way that all of 12D synergy and 12D model could work together seamlessly. You could automate everything, make it adaptable, and limit the amount of time I spent drafting. All that was done during a 6-week COVID lockdown and a 8-week trip to Europe. So being able to work from anywhere it just gives us the flexibility to not be chained down. Probably finished now with a flyover from our drone. We've got some beautiful snow on the mountains at the moment, so we've got the boys out there just to show you what the completed picture looks like. Have a great day. Enjoy the rest of the conference. Yeah, interested if you've got any questions or if you've got any tips for me, things that I might be doing a bit backwards. I'd be keen to hear. Thanks a lot.